Hello, and welcome to Discover Your Ruby Rose Gems with Dr. Tara. I'm your host, Dr. Tara. Today, I want to continue the conversation that I started with you a few weeks ago on self-love. I want to focus on one aspect that interferes with us being able to cultivate self-love successfully, and that is self-criticism, a negative thinking style that interferes with our ability to see ourselves in a positive light. Typically what happens with this thinking style, is that we tend to see ourselves in a negative light. We are harsh on ourselves and very critical, even belittling. So when you hear me say self-criticism, what comes to mind for you? What negative thinking styles are you battling with? What negative voices do you hear? What hate are you giving yourself? So, the title of the show, The Hate You Give Yourself. It's all about the dialogue that's going on up here in our brains. So, if that dialogue is super, super loud, it can interfere with us being able to cultivate self-love. I've been reading this book by Don Miguel Ruiz called The Four Agreements. And the first agreement is to be impeccable with your words. So what does he mean by that? Well, in short, it means to speak with integrity. But he goes on to say to speak with integrity not only to others, but to ourselves. Self-criticism is anything but being impeccable with your words. It is actually speaking against you. So what I want to do is teach you today how to use the power of the word to speak love and life and truth into your life. How to change self-criticism into something that I'm going to talk to you more about later. So, the critical voice within you tells you a lot of different things. It lies. It's belittling. It's basically a relentless bitch because it wants you to believe the lies. And you do, right? If there's a statement that you say to yourself, 9 times out of 10, you say that statement to yourself all the time. Think about it. What is it that you say to yourself? What are you critical about in your life? When you're critiquing yourself, how do you critique yourself? What do you sound like? Do you sound familiar? Do you sound like someone, maybe a parent or a teacher or a boss? So, how do you move past that? Well, we first got to understand how it all came about, right? So some examples of what self-criticism sounds like would be, oh, I'm so stupid, or I'm so dumb, or I can't get anything right. You know, I've been struggling with this whole YouTube and production and everything. And, you know, I can sometimes get in my own head and start to be critical, but I have to just say, okay, chill out, slow down, breathe. You got this. You can do this. Just one more time. Do it one more time. So it's something that we all struggle with, right? It's very common in our society. And for most of us, it's pretty mild. But for some, it could be quite harsh, okay? So harsh and so severe that some people suffer with self-loathing, self-disgust, self-hatred, okay? So it can be very bothersome for some people, so much so that self-criticism or negative self-talk, negative self-evaluations are very common in a lot of mental health disorders, such as depression and anxiety, eating disorders, substance abuse, and things like that. So it's real, okay? And it definitely interferes with us cultivating the self-love that we want to have in life. So What are some of the thinking styles that go into how self-criticism is developed? Well, one is labeling, and the other one is shoulding, and then overgeneralizing. So labeling is basically making global and derogatory statements about yourself based on a behavior in a circumstance, in a specific situation. So for instance, I get lost along, following some directions, and I say, oh, I'm so dumb. I'm geographically challenged, or I don't know how to, find my way out of a rabbit hole, That's pretty harsh and derogatory. And so that's labeling. And then you have shoulding, and shoulding involves basically placing high demands on yourself, placing unrealistic pressure on yourself, saying, I should always get this right, or I should always, or I should fill in the blank. And then overgeneralizing is taking one negative instance and concluding that it applies to everything, in your life. So, just because you can't do one thing one time, every time you do that certain thing, you just say, oh, I can't, I'm not good at this. So to gain some awareness about your own self-critical thinking style, I want you to think about some questions that I said already, but I'm going to restate them to you. What do you typically criticize yourself for? Okay, you can write these down, and I'll also put them at the bottom for you to pull up later. What sorts of things do you typically say to yourself about yourself? And how do you say things? What does your internal voice sound like? Does it remind you of anyone? When you criticize yourself, how does it make you feel? What do you think the negative consequences are of speaking to yourself like this? So, how do you think self-criticism makes a person feel? Not good, right? So it would affect a person's self-esteem or ability to have self-acceptance. So it stands to reason that we would want to tame this bitch, right? This relentless bitch. So we're going to talk about how to do that. So how does it get started though? Before we get to taming it, how did the bitch get started? The one that's in your brain telling you that you're worthless and can't do this and shouldn't try and just give up. Well, I hate to do it, but we seem to always blame things on childhood, but here we go again. Early life experiences. If you grew up in a home that was highly critical, okay, and what I mean when I say that is you received more criticism than you did acknowledgments. I talked to a lot of clients. I was talking to a client today about this very thing. I hear this all the time. And parents, I'm not trying to jump on you. You're doing the best you can with what you know and what you have. I get it. I am a parent. I understand it. But that's where a lot of the stuff comes from, right? That's one place. So it stands to reason that if you were never taught how to be self-compassionate, you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to tap into that. So what I'm talking to you about may be foreign, and you may not even feel like you're deserving of it. You may even have negative views about self-compassion, which is another way it gets started, is negative beliefs about self-compassion. So, there are some people that think that it's being, lazy or overindulgent or having pity on themselves or, oh, I need to just, buckle up and move on. No, that's not true. We need to take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves. And then the other reason is lack of awareness. And now that's something that I suffer from. Before I got into therapy, I didn't know that I used to say, I knew these things that I was saying. I'm going to make it seem like I didn't know I was saying it, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know that I was being overly harsh on myself and criticizing myself. Just this week when I was in therapy, I did it, and my therapist was like, I hear a critical voice going on in there, and I'm like, oh, that bitch still in there. I wish she'd go away. But anyway, I'm working on her. I'm working on her and I'm helping you work on yours, whoever he or she is. Okay. We're going to get it under control. So that is how it gets started. We just have things that happen in our lives that plant seeds. And if we don't know that we have a problem, then we don't know to fix it. And that's one of the ways that we're going to talk about how we battle this is awareness. So, this thought that we don't need self-compassion is, I want to expand on that. So, some people feel like maybe being negative, having self-criticism, negative self-evaluations is necessary for them to thrive. Who would think such a thing? Well, there are people out there who think that. And I may be talking to some of you. And that's okay. There's always hope. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that you will learn better. No, would you do that to your friends or to your children? Criticize them in order to motivate them? I hope not. And if you do, please don't ever motivate me, because I need words of affirmation, words of encouragement, and you do too. That's a fallacy. That's not real. It's not true that we need this level of criticism and negative self-evaluations in order to thrive, or to, make sure that we don't be too narcissistic or, too high on our horse or any of those things. No, this is not true. So, all of that is just other ways of keeping this way of thinking deeply entrenched in you. So now, how do we tame the bitch? All right, we're here now. So you heard me talk about awareness earlier. So one of the things, I know you've heard this before, if you don't know about it, you ain't doing anything about it. If we're not aware of it, then we don't know that we need to work on something. So we're gonna heighten our awareness. We gotta make sure that we know what is going on with ourselves. Ask questions about yourself, So heightening your awareness about what is going on. So realizing that there's a struggle, that you are struggling with something, and it is okay for you to get the care that you need for the struggle that you're encountering, okay? You don't have to be Superman or Superwoman. You deserve love and compassion, and you deserve it from you. Because just like I said a couple of weeks ago about self-love, if you don't love yourself, then how can you love others? And loving you teaches others how to love you. Same with compassion. When you know how to give compassion inward, then you know what to look for in other relationships. Otherwise, you subject yourself to probably some mistreatment, abuse. That's what I was looking for, abuse. Couldn't think of that. But yeah, so awareness is important. And then awareness of what's going on. What is the struggle? What is happening in this moment? Not getting so caught up in the situation that's going on that you don't think about your thoughts and your feelings, okay? Because they're real and they need to be given attention. So once you have that, then you can slow down. And one of the ways that we slow down is through breathing. I've talked about that in my visualizations that I've done with you all. So slowing down your breathing helps to slow down your thoughts, and it helps to calm you down. It helps to calm you down physically and emotionally, so that you can think about what's going on. Then you can redirect your thoughts to be more self-compassionate. That's the word. That's the key that we're looking for here. It's self-compassion. We want to cultivate more compassion for ourselves. And what is self-compassion? Grace, love, patience, forgiveness that we turn inward. The same things that you would give a loved one, I want you to turn it inward and give to yourself. Okay? So that is how we tame the self-critic within us, that self-critical bitch, through awareness of what the struggle is, calming ourselves down through breathing, slowing down, and then redirecting our thoughts to be more compassionate towards ourselves. Now, this takes practice. You're not going to get it right the first time, maybe not even the fifth time. And you may even find yourself going down that self-critical path again. Remember, I said I just experienced this week, and I've been doing this for 20 years. And I've been in therapy for, I don't know, whatever. That's none of your business. But anyway, a good therapist has a therapist. That's what me and my colleagues say all the time. So don't judge. Anyway, although I may still struggle with this, it's not anywhere near where it used to be, okay? Because I'm aware of it now. I know, okay, that's not how I need to talk to myself. That's not how I motivate myself to do well and be better and thrive, right? So that's not what you do to yourself either, okay? So remember these things. I'm going to actually talk you through a self-compassion visualization imaging in a week or so. That's going to help you even more with this idea of cultivating self-compassion, which is ultimately leading to self-love, okay? So until then, stay well, be empowered, live boldly and fully. This is Dr. Tara. See you soon.